The cafeteria of the Orbital Defense Academy fell silent as Anna Chen walked through the sliding doors. It wasn't the comfortable silence of respect. It was the charged quiet that preceded a storm. Lewis watched from his corner table, his neural implant recording every microexpression, every shift in body language. As the station's combat psychology researcher, he'd seen this pattern before. New transfers always faced scrutiny, but something about Anna drew particular venom. She was small by military standards, barely 5'4", with a frame that looked better suited to academic pursuits than combat operations. Her dark hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, and her gray eyes scanned the room with mechanical efficiency before she queued for her meal ration. "Look at that," Cadet Commander Vickers muttered from the next table, loud enough for half the room to hear. "Terra Command is scraping the bottom of the barrel now, sending us secretaries." His companions laughed, harsh, braying sounds that echoed off the plasteel walls. Anna didn't react. She collected her protein synthesizer tray and turned to find a seat. Vickers stood, his 2-meter frame blocking her path. "Lost, civilian. The administration offices are on Deck 7. Anna's expression remained neutral. "Excuse me, Cadet Commander." "I don't think so." Vickers crossed his arms. "See, we've got standards here. This is the premier combat academy in the Terran sphere. We don't need." "Move." The word was soft but carried an edge that made Lewis's implant flag the interaction as potentially volatile. Vickers smiled. "Or what, you'll file a complaint, write a strongly worded." Anna's tray was suddenly balanced on one hand. Her other hand moved in a blur, not striking, just repositioning. Vickers found himself stumbled backward, off balance, his own momentum used against him. She walked past while he was still processing what happened. Lewis's implant ran the motion through combat analysis subroutines, military-grade close quarters training, efficiency rating, 94.7%. That was higher than most academy instructors. The incident might have ended there, but Vickers wasn't accustomed to losing face. Over the following weeks, the harassment escalated. Accidentally, sealed hatches when Anna approached, training equipment that mysteriously malfunctioned when she used it, simulation scores that didn't quite match her performance. Lewis watched it all, documenting but not intervening. Academy politics were brutal, and intervention from researchers only made things worse for the targets. But his curiosity grew. Anna never complained, never retaliated beyond the minimum necessary. She absorbed every insult, every sabotage, with the same mechanical calm. "You're starring again," Commander Reeves said, appearing beside Lewis's table. Lewis minimized his analysis screens. "Behavioral observation. It's my job." "Is it?" Reeves settled into the opposite chair, her silver hair catching the overhead lights. As the Academy's senior combat instructor, she'd seen generations of cadets. "Or are you wondering why someone with her profile is here at all?" "Her profile is sealed," Lewis said carefully. "Above your clearance, yes." Reeves's smile was thin. "But not mine. Want to know why I haven't stopped Vickers?" "I assumed you had your reasons." "I do, the same reason I've kept her records locked." Reeves leaned forward. "Some lessons can only be learned through experience. Vickers and his cronies think they know what combat is. They've run simulations, trained in zero-G combat scenarios, studied historical battles. They have no idea. And Anna does." Anna Chen was the only survivor of Firebase Caldera. The words hung in the air between them. Lewis felt his neural implant automatically query the database, then hit the classification wall. Firebase Caldera. The name was familiar from restricted reports, fragments of information that never quite formed a complete picture. "The Krill incursion," Lewis said slowly. 3 years ago, the firebase that went dark." 247 personnel, Reeves said quietly. "Scientists, support staff, and 42 combat marines. The Krill hit it with a full war cluster, thousands of warrior forms, backed by tactical drones and psionic suppressors. Terra Command lost contact and wrote it off, too far beyond the defense perimeter to attempt rescue. But Anna survived. For 6 months, alone. Reeves's eyes were distant, seeing something beyond the cafeteria walls. When the relief force finally pushed through, they found her in the firebase's core reactor room. She'd fortified it, turned it into a death trap. The Krill had tried to breach it 217 times. 217 times she'd killed them all. Lewis's mind raced through the implications. That's not possible. One person can't. The reactor room walls were scored with plasma fire. The air recyclers were clogged with krill chitin. She'd used every weapon in the firebase's arsenal, then made more from salvaged parts. When they finally cut through her barricades, she nearly killed the rescue team before recognizing human neural signatures. Why is this classified? Because of what the psyche evaluations showed afterward. Reeves's voice dropped lower. No PTSD, no trauma markers, just perfect mechanical efficiency. She'd turned survival into a science, killing into a mathematical exercise. Terra Command wanted her studied, dissected, understood. She wanted to return to duty. The compromise was sending her here, where I could observe her in a controlled environment. You're using Vickers. I'm letting nature take its course. If Anna can't handle academy politics, she has no business returning to active combat. And if Vickers crosses a line, Reeves shrugged. Well, that's why we have you documenting everything. The breaking point came 3 months into Anna's academy tenure. Lewis was in the observation gallery above Training Hall 7, monitoring a standard close-quarters combat exercise. Anna was paired against 3 opponents in a simulation maze, standard academy doctrine to test adaptability. Except the simulation had been modified. Lewis saw it immediately in the environmental parameters: reduced oxygen levels, flickering lights, and Vickers, along with 2 of his largest companions, had replaced the standard training opponents. This is unauthorized, Lewis said into his comm. Commander Reeves. I see it, her voice was calm. Let it play out. They could seriously injure her. Could they? The exercise began. Vickers and his team entered the maze with practice shock batons, weapons set to deliver painful but non-lethal jolts. They moved like hunters, coordinated and confident. Anna disappeared into the maze's shadows. Lewis's sensors tracked her thermal signature as she moved through the simulated firebase corridors. The maze was a replica of a dozen different combat scenarios, walls that could shift and reconfigure, lighting that could simulate everything from full daylight to absolute darkness. Anna chose darkness. Night vision, Vickers muttered, activating his helmet's enhanced optics. His team spread out in a standard search pattern, covering angles, moving with practiced precision. They found her 3 minutes later, or rather she found them. The first teammate went down without a sound. One moment he was checking a corner, the next he was on the ground, his shock baton missing, his helmet cracked where something hard had struck it. Contact, Vickers' spun baton raised. Darkness, empty corridor. She's fast, the remaining teammate said, voice tight. She's small and scared, Vickers countered. Spread out, force her into the open. But Anna didn't operate in the open. She operated in the spaces between attention, in the blind spots of awareness. Lewis watched her thermal signature move through the maze like a ghost, always 3 steps ahead of her pursuers. The second teammate fell when he passed too close to a ventilation shaft. Anna dropped from above, using gravity and leverage to drive him into the ground. His baton joined the first. Now it was just Vickers and Anna in the dark. Clever, Vickers called out, activating his suit's external speakers. But you can't hide forever. Come out and face me properly. Silence answered him. Vickers moved forward, more cautious now. His baton crackled with energy, the blue-white glow providing a small circle of light in the darkness. Every nerve was focused, every sense straining. He never saw her coming. Anna emerged from a shadow that shouldn't have been deep enough to hide in, moving with that same precise efficiency Lewis had noted before. But this time, there was something else, a cold, mechanical fury that turned movement into violence. She hit Vickers 3 times before his enhanced reflexes even registered the attack. The shock baton flew from his grip. His knee buckled from a precisely targeted strike. And then Anna's hand was at his throat, not squeezing, just resting there with the promise of what could come next. "Yield," Anna said softly. Vickers's pride warred with survival instinct. "This isn't." Anna's hand tightened fractionally. "Yield." "I yield." The words came out strangled. Anna released him and stepped back, collected all 3 shock batons and walked toward the exit. The lights came up. The exercise was over. Lewis met Commander Reeves at the observation deck exit. Below, medical teams were checking on Vickers and his companions, bruised, humiliated, but otherwise intact. "You knew," Lewis said. "I calculated the probability," Reeves corrected. Anna Chen spent 6 months turning a firebase into a graveyard, 3 academy bullies in a training maze. She shook her head. "Not even a warm-up." "What happens now?" "Now, we see if Vickers is smart enough to learn." The cafeteria was different the next day. Anna walked through the doors to the same charged silence, but its nature had changed. Vickers sat at his usual table, his neck showing the faint bruising from Anna's grip. He watched her with new eyes, not fear exactly, but a grudging respect born from humiliation. Anna queued for her meal ration, same as always. This time, no one blocked her path. Lewis watched from his corner, his neural implant recording the shift in social dynamics. The Academy's unofficial hierarchy had just been violently restructured, though violence wasn't quite the right word. Violence implied chaos, loss of control. What Anna had demonstrated was something else entirely, the careful application of measured force toward a specific outcome. Over the following weeks, the change crystallized. Cadets who'd once mocked Anna now gave her a wide berth. Some approached with cautious respect, asking about training techniques or combat theory. Anna answered in the same neutral tone she used for everything, sharing knowledge without condescension. Vickers himself underwent the most dramatic transformation. The humiliation could have broken him, turned him bitter and vengeful. Instead, he did something Lewis hadn't anticipated. He sought Anna out. "Teach me," Vickers said one evening in the training hall. Anna was running through hand-to-hand drills, the same sequences over and over with mechanical precision. "Why?" "Because I thought I knew what combat meant." Vickers's voice was stripped of its usual arrogance. "Turns out I know nothing." Anna studied him for a long moment. Combat is mathematics. Force vectors, momentum, leverage. Remove emotion and see only the geometry of violence. "That's it, that's your secret." "No." For the first time since arriving at the academy, Anna's neutral expression cracked slightly. "The secret is understanding that survival isn't about being the strongest or fastest. It's about being the one still standing when everyone else has fallen. It's about turning your environment into an ally and your enemies into predictable variables." "Can you teach that?" "I can show you the calculations. Whether you learn is up to you." Lewis included the exchange in his report to Commander Reeves, along with 3 months of behavioral data and combat analysis. He expected some reaction, approval, concern, further instructions. Instead, Reeves summoned him to her office. "Terra Command has reviewed your findings," she said without preamble. "They want to know if Anna Chen is fit to return to active duty." "That's a psychological evaluation, not a behavioral study." "You've been conducting both, don't pretend otherwise." Reeves fixed him with a sharp look. "So, is she fit?" Lewis considered his answer carefully. Anna Chen functions with exceptional efficiency in high-stress combat scenarios. Her tactical acumen is well above academy standards. Her ability to adapt and improvise is remarkable. But she's fundamentally different from other soldiers. Most combat personnel retain some emotional connection to violence, fear, anger, satisfaction. Anna has compartmentalized those responses completely. She doesn't fight. She solves problems that happen to require violence as a solution. Is that worse than soldiers who enjoy killing? It's not worse or better, it's different, potentially more effective, but Lewis struggled for the right words. Humans aren't meant to operate like that. Eventually something has to give. And if it doesn't, if Anna Chen has genuinely found a way to survive trauma through absolute compartmentalization, then Terra Command will have the most effective combat operator in human history, Lewis said quietly. And we should all be terrified of what that says about the wars we're fighting. Reeves was silent for a long moment. Your recommendation? Return her to duty, but not alone. She needs a partner, someone who can bridge the gap between her calculated approach and the emotional reality of combat command. Someone who's seen her true capabilities and understands both her strengths and limitations. You're suggesting Vickers? He's been training with her for 2 months. He's learned more about practical combat in that time than most officers learn in a year. More importantly, he's seen her at her worst and chosen to learn rather than fear. And Anna, what does she want? Lewis pulled up his final interview transcription. Anna's words were characteristically sparse. I want to return to the frontier. There are more fire bases, more personnel who might need someone who knows how to survive. I can teach them. I should teach them. Reeves read the transcript, then closed the file. Very well, I'll forward your recommendation. Dismissed. Lewis stood to leave, then paused. Commander, one more thing. Why did you really lock Anna's records? The truth this time. Reeves's smile was sad. Because heroes make people uncomfortable, Dr. Lewis. We want our soldiers to be human, brave, yes, but still fundamentally like us. Anna Chen survived through inhuman efficiency, and that makes her something we don't quite have words for. So we classified her, studied her, tried to understand her. But maybe we should have just asked her. Asked her what? What Firebase Caldera taught her. What 6 months alone against an alien horde actually means. And what does it mean? That survival isn't heroic. It's mechanical, brutal, and utterly necessary. Anna Chen isn't a hero. She's a survivor who learned to turn survival into an art form. And maybe that's exactly what humanity needs on the frontier. People who understand that the alternative to perfect efficiency is extinction. Lewis left the office with more questions than answers. But as he passed the training hall and saw Anna drilling with a group of cadets, Vickers among them, all of them moving through combat sequences with newfound precision, he thought perhaps the questions didn't matter as much as the results. Anna Chen would return to the frontier. She would teach others her mathematics of violence, her geometry of survival, and perhaps, in the vast darkness between stars where humanity struggled to maintain its foothold, that cold efficiency was exactly what they needed. Not heroes, just survivors. The cafeteria incident seemed small now, a footnote in a larger story. But it had taught the Academy an important lesson. Appearances deceive, records matter, and the quiet ones are often quiet for very good reasons. Nobody wanted to bully Anna anymore. They wanted to learn from her. And in the end, perhaps that was the most terrifying realization of all. End